right, so in the previous video, we basically went into the Azure Marketplace and installed the the DevOps Shield application. And between 4 and 5 minutes later, you should get to this point where it says your deployment is complete, and you can for sure look at the deployment details. But you can also just jump right away to the resource. So I'm going to do that. I jumped right away to the resource. Notice it's in the location that we wanted, East US 2, in the resource group. So some of the key fields is the name of the app, the resource group where the app is located, and the subscription where it's located. Finally, to actually see what got deployed, I mean, you could look at the parameters. No worries, you won't be able to see any secure strings or anything, but you have information there, inputs and outputs. But to go see the resources, you simply click on the Manage Resource Group, and that'll contain a dozen or so resources. They should almost all be in the location that you selected, except maybe some global resources for monitoring. You should see a couple of workbooks. This is the most important service, the app service itself, so the website itself, where you're going to interact with the UI. And you're also going to see a log analytics workspace, a key vault, where, of course, only you have access to that key vault, and a database that will store all the data. Now, the database, think of it as the shorter term storage, basically to get all the inventory of your resources and the compliance results and compliance scans and so on. Whereas the log analytics space itself will hold all the data long term, so you'll be able to see a time series and so on, with how your compliancy is evolving with time. Again, what we care about the most right now for this video is to actually set up and try the application. So you need to come to the app service itself, click on that, and notice Linux got deployed. That's what we asked for. The size got chosen based on the t-shirt size, and here is the actual link for the application. So I can click on this, and this takes me to the application. Now, don't worry, this is actually a good sign. So it's telling you that you've installed the application and so on. That's great, but you still need to configure an application registration. Now, you can do this by hand. Follow the instructions on our, for example, on our GitHub. But the other thing that you can do is run a PowerShell script, and you'll have full access to the code, so you can verify and okay it with your security team. But you can run this command right here, which is going to download that script from the GitHub profile, the GitHub, this file right here. This is the script. So you can download that script and execute that locally on your machine. Okay, so I copied and pasted this command right here, which I'm about to run on the bottom. Let's open up a terminal, or more importantly, a PowerShell session, and go ahead. And as you can see, there's nothing in this folder right now. I'm just going to go ahead and paste the command that I copied either from the GitHub or from that configuration error screen. And notice all it's doing is it's grabbing that file from the GitHub, saving it as a PowerShell script, and executing it. Okay, so let me go ahead and do that. That's it. Okay, so there's 5 steps that we're going to do. It quickly jumped to the first step, which is the actual login. So you need to log in with someone. Let me just show you. someone with application registration permissions, okay? That like they're able to create an actual application registration in your tenant. The other thing, you'll eventually be asked the installation information. And also the script will register your application. This is all going through your own rights. I mean, you need the right people with the right access to be able to do that. And then it's going to set a few settings, and then reboot the instance and make sure that everything is working again. That's basically what's going to happen. So we've logged in. Actually, no, we haven't logged in. Let's do that now. Okay, so I'm going to log in with the user, and this will then go to step 2. So I'm just going to wait for that. So step 2, please provide the installation information. So we have, let's go back to our managed app. Oh, by the way, and if you have a hard time finding these managed apps, just search up here for managed applications. You'll see it there. This is the logo for it, a little cube with the hand under it. And you see, you'll get back to that screen I showed you initially in the beginning of the video. So we need the subscription. Hey, you could put the ID or the name. I have the name right here. Let me go ahead and copy and paste that right there. Right click. Let's get the resource group where the managed app is. So not to be confused with the managed resource group. This is the resource group where the managed application is located. That was the one you put in the initial creation screen in the Azure Marketplace. So that's it. And finally, enter your DevOps Shield managed application name. That'll be whatever you chose it to be. I called it Demo DevOps Shield, so that's what I'm going to copy and paste right here. There's one more question. It's, are you using DevOps Shield for multi-tenant Azure DevOps? Choose no for a single tenant or yes. So if you want to monitor Azure DevOps instances in different tenants, like more than one tenant, if you will, or you're in a situation like me, I'm using a user, I want users in a given tenant to log in, but I'm monitoring Azure DevOps instances in another tenant, then both of these kind of scenarios would warrant a multi-tenant application registration. So I'm going to click yes in my case for that. It doesn't hurt for you to put yes, but if everything is happening in a single tenant, including the ADOs that you're the Azure DevOps organizations that you're monitoring, then you could leave it. You can choose no and leave it for a single tenant. In my case, of course, I will choose yes. And that's it. So now I just need to confirm that this information is correct. And let me check. Let me see. This is the right subscription. It's the right resource group that contains this Demo DevOps Shield application. And in my case, I do want a multi-tenant application. So I'm going to click yes to confirm that the above information is correct. And that's it. You're done. So notice, let this run, but we just had a couple of things that we needed to do. We needed to install the app, one basic screen that we needed to do with tags that we ended up putting, and then run this post-installation script that you can get on the GitHub or from the configuration error screen that you saw. And that's it. That's going to create everything you need. So notice it created an application registration with 79B as the client ID. Here is the URL of the actual application. And it assigned the current user running this script as the DevOps Shield owner application role. I will show you that application registration just so that you know exactly what got created. And now it's just restarting the DevOps Shield application. So, we've basically injected some secrets, and you'll need to, in the key vault, and you'll need to restart the application, right? So that's what's happening. It takes about a minute and a half. Actually, since it's almost done, let me jump into the directory to show you that app registration that got created. So in my case, I should see this one, right? Sorry, it was this one that we just created. Remember that 79B? This is it. So nothing fancy because we chose multi-tenanted. This is the multiple organizations account type that got created. There's a secret that got generated and placed into the key vault. There's a few redirect URIs, basically that redirect to standard stuff here for OIDC, for consent and login, sign in, sign out, and so on. And a few important URLs that got placed. And also these app roles. This is important as well. There's two app roles, the owner and the member. So of course the person, so myself in this case that ran the script, is an owner. And if you want to verify that, remember this application registration has an associated service principal. So in my case, it's this one. And here is where I will see, for example, in the users and groups, I will see that indeed Emmanuel got placed as a user with the role DevOps Shield owner. So it all looks good. To me, this is everything that got generated. So we have a managed resource group. And we saw what that looks like with these dozen or so services or Azure Resources, and this application registration right here. And in this case, it's a multi-tenanted application registration. You can always go back to it this way right here. Okay, so that's that. So I am going to, one last thing. In the API permissions, this is where you're going to see, for example, that the application registration will need, and this is important, will need basically delegated permissions or user impersonation. Essentially, you want to be able to access the Azure DevOps or VSTS REST APIs on behalf of the logged in user. This is extremely important, and that's one of those things that that's part of these permissions, delegated permissions for the application registration. That's it. So I do want to show you the final screen just to confirm everything worked nicely, and it didn't take that long, by the way. It finished probably in about under 2 minutes. But it does show you, it confirms everything went well. It cleared the NAZI account clear, and you're now ready to basically log in to the DevOps Shield application. So I'm going to show you the initial screen, and then we're going to pause for the next video. So I clicked on the link, and notice I do have a consent required. I can even consent on behalf of the organization if I choose so. I can follow the links, the terms of services, so you can go ahead and open that, and that'll take you to the terms and conditions and so on. So feel free to verify this information. And finally, I won't consent on behalf of the organization. I don't need to do that just yet. Instead, I will accept to consent and actually see the login screen. And there you are. So you've installed DevOps Shield in a managed resource group, a subscription that you own and it's your data. And if you want to double check the version, you'll see that on the bottom. So I'm going to pause this video right now, and next video will show you how to install, how to quickly get up and running in a few minutes and start your first scan to see your full inventory. All right.